Have you noticed that the more you explain yourself, the less people seem to truly understand you? Every extra detail, every repeated story seems to drain your strength instead of restoring it. Your emotions begin to feel smaller, your struggles less significant, and moving forward becomes harder. Carl Jung saw this clearly. He realized that human beings have a hidden urge to prove themselves through the eyes of others, to be seen, validated, and accepted. Yet in chasing that recognition, we often surrender something vital, our own inner power. Each time you open up too quickly, you hand over pieces of your inner life. What leaves your mouth no longer belongs only to you. Silence, then, is not weakness. It is strength in disguise. The people who endure the most are rarely those who broadcast their battles to everyone. Instead, they walk quietly, holding their suffering and their growth close to their hearts, because they know that what is fought within does not need an audience. It needs resolution. Jung's perspective shows us a different way forward. Nurture the silence and let it shape you from within. What you hold back grows stronger. What you reveal too soon often fades. This is why silence becomes more than just absence of words. It transforms into a tool, a shield, and even a path of renewal. Think about it. When was the last time you regretted telling someone too much? That heavy feeling afterward is not an accident. It's a signal from your deeper self that whispers, "This truth belonged to you, not to them, at least not yet." Words are powerful, but they are not neutral. Once spoken, they can heal or they can expose. Silence, on the other hand, gives you time to feel, to sort, to decide. In our noisy world of constant posts, texts, and quick confessions, it is worth pausing to ask, am I speaking to understand myself, or am I only speaking because I cannot sit with my own feelings? Not every thought is meant to be spoken. Some truths are seeds meant to grow in private until the right time comes to share them. Jung reminds us of this again and again. If this message stirs something inside you, don't forget to subscribe to SYC Soul. More is coming that you won't want to miss. Silence, however, does not mean isolation. Jung explained that silence is a sacred pause, a moment where the unconscious can rise to the surface without being interrupted by other people's judgments or opinions. When you keep your experiences within, you are not hiding them out of fear. You are giving them space to breathe, to transform, and to reveal their true meaning to you before anyone else defines it. Have you ever noticed how quickly people want to label your experiences? You share a dream, and someone calls it nonsense. You reveal your pain, and another offers a cliché. You speak of your goals, and suddenly others doubt or question them. Their voices, whether supportive or dismissive, begin to shape how you feel about your own reality. That is the danger Jung warned against, letting the noise of others interfere with the sacred dialogue between you and your inner self. The unconscious works like a hidden current, moving beneath the surface of your daily life. When you speak without care, you stir that current too soon, and the water becomes muddy. But when you hold back, when you allow the silence to deepen, clarity comes. You begin to see the real patterns, the symbols, and the lessons your mind is quietly presenting to you. And here lies the mystery. The less you speak, the more you understand. The more you rush to explain, the further the truth slips away. Think of the strongest moments of change in your life. Were they born out of endless conversations with others? Or did they begin in silence, in that private place where you faced yourself honestly? Jung believed that transformation starts within, away from the eyes of the world. And when the time is right, the change reveals itself naturally, through your actions, your presence, your growth, not through repeated explanations. So ask yourself this: what parts of your life have you been giving away too freely? Which emotions have you spoken before you truly understood them yourself? And how might your journey change if you allowed more silence, more space, before sharing your deepest truths? Stay with me, because we are only beginning to uncover the hidden wisdom Jung left us. In the next moments, we'll see how every word, every silence, and every choice carries a hidden weight, and why learning to guard them may be the key to your strength. Jung often reminded us that recognition is a dangerous craving. The moment you begin sharing your experiences only to be approved or admired, you unknowingly weaken yourself. Your story, your emotions, even your victories, should not exist to satisfy the audience of others. Yet many of us hand over our strength because deep down we want someone to clap for us, to say we are enough. But here lies the trap. If your identity depends on applause, it can just as easily be destroyed by silence. Jung described this as the shadow feeding on insecurity. Every time you overshare for attention, your shadow grows, whispering that you are not complete without someone else's validation. And slowly, you become predictable, easy to manipulate, fragile in ways you never imagined. True strength, Jung said, is walking forward without needing anyone to notice. It is creating in silence, even when nobody praises your effort. It is continuing your journey without feeling the urge to justify your steps. Think about it. Have you ever explained yourself again and again, only to feel emptier afterward? That's because words, when used to chase approval, never satisfy the soul. Instead, they drain it. Every careless sentence takes energy from you. Conversations in which you pour out your heart often leave you exhausted, not renewed. That exhaustion is real. It is the cost of speaking without awareness. Jung insisted that not every wound needs an audience. Not every struggle needs to be verbalized. Some pains only want to be held silently within, like seeds waiting for the right season to grow. Imagine what would happen if, instead of rushing to talk, you observed your feelings quietly, even wrote them down in your own private space. That same energy you once wasted in explanations would begin to gather inside you as strength. Silence becomes not an absence, but a reservoir. But here's something even more crucial. Not everyone deserves entry into your inner world. Some people listen only to feed their curiosity. Others may envy what you share, and some might even use your openness against you later. If you give too much away, you open doors that cannot easily be closed again. Jung warned that these doors often become new wounds. So protect your story like something sacred, because it is. Not everyone is worthy of hearing your struggles, and certainly not your dreams. Keep listening, because what comes next will reveal how transformation truly works in secret. Jung believed that the soul wears itself down when we speak too much. Words may look harmless, but each one carries an invisible cost. You can't see it, but you feel it. Think of those conversations where you unloaded your problems endlessly. Did you feel lighter afterward, or strangely drained, as if the very act of talking had stolen your strength? That is what Jung called emotional exhaustion. It happens because when you speak before truly processing your feelings, you reactivate the pain instead of dissolving it. Each retelling makes the wound larger, not smaller. Jung did not suggest we suppress emotions. He warned us to learn the right time, the right person, and the right purpose for speaking. Conscious words can heal, but words thrown out carelessly only tire the soul. Not every wound is meant for discussion. Some simply need to be embraced quietly in the depth of your being. Instead of rushing to share, take a step back. Observe. Breathe, if necessary. Write down your emotions in private, rather than exposing them too soon. You will notice how energy, once wasted on explanations, begins to transform into resilience. And here is another truth: boundaries are sacred. Jung insisted that the soul protects itself through clear limits, and one of the most vital is deciding who deserves access to your inner life. Not everyone listens with respect. Some only want gossip, others envy, and a few will twist your vulnerability into a weapon. The more you talk, the more doors you leave open, and sometimes those doors invite wounds that could have been avoided. Your life is not a stage, and you are not required to perform your story for anyone. Only you know the battles you've fought, the steps you've climbed, and the weight you've carried. Respect that truth. Protect it. Keep it sacred. Because silence, when chosen wisely, is a form of self-respect. And let's pause here for a moment. If these words resonate with you, I want to know. Tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching this video from. Are you connecting with these lessons of Jung? If yes, let me know that this work is meaningful to you. Your voice encourages me to keep creating and sharing these messages. Stay with me, because we are about to uncover how transformation happens, not in public, but in secret, hidden spaces where true change silently begins. Transformation, Jung explained, never takes place under the spotlight of public opinion. Real change is quiet, hidden, and deeply personal. He often compared it to the work of an alchemist turning lead into gold, not in front of crowds, but in the secrecy of a laboratory. That image is powerful because it reminds us that our own growth follows the same law. Think about it. Do your deepest shifts happen when you announce them, or when you retreat in silence and work on them within? Every meaningful transformation begins behind closed doors, where there is no judgment, no pressure, no need for validation. The moment you stop talking about what you want to change, you give that process the chance to mature without interference. Great decisions are born in solitude. Great progress is made in silence. You don't need to post every detail, and you don't owe anyone a running commentary of your journey. Instead, let the results speak. When change is ready, it will show itself without you saying a word. And this is why silence itself is a force of transformation. Because when you protect your process, you shield it from distortion. You stop others from adding their doubts, their projections, or their envy to your growth. What matures inside you privately emerges far stronger than anything you announce prematurely. Now let me pause here briefly. If you are finding these lessons of Carl Jung eye-opening, make sure you don't miss what's coming next. Take a moment to subscribe to my channel SYC Soul, like this video. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss future content. And share this message with someone who needs it right now. Believe me, many people are searching for exactly this truth, and maybe you will be the one to place it in their hands. Stay with me, because in the next lessons, we'll see how those who truly value you do not demand constant explanations. They can sense your energy, even in your silence. And soon, you will understand why outer noise suffocates your inner voice and how silence revives it. Carl Jung often describes silence as a door that opens not to emptiness, but to intuition. When you withdraw from constant noise and chatter, something remarkable begins to surface. A subtle voice, quiet yet certain, starts guiding you. This is not imagination, nor is it guesswork. It is the deeper wisdom of the unconscious mind, what Jung called the language of the soul. Most people drown this voice under endless talk. They explain, justify, repeat their fears out loud until the inner signal fades completely. But those who honor silence discover that their intuition becomes sharper, almost like a hidden sense awakening. Jung believed intuition is not a mysterious gift reserved for a few. It is a natural human faculty, but it needs space to breathe, and silence gives it that space. Consider how often your instincts have whispered to you in moments of calm. Perhaps you felt something was wrong before you had proof, or sensed an opportunity before anyone else noticed it. That was your intuition. Yet, when you rush to share your doubts or dreams prematurely, you invite interference. Other people's opinions can cloud your inner knowing, turning clarity into confusion. Jung encouraged people to trust that silent wisdom. He said that beneath the surface of everyday awareness lies a deep reservoir of knowledge, ancestral, collective, timeless. Silence is how we draw from that reservoir. The more comfortable you are with not speaking, the more fluent you become in this inner language. But there is a challenge. Silence is not always comfortable. At first, it can feel like emptiness or loneliness. Many people break it by talking, because they cannot bear what they might discover in the stillness. Jung warned that the very truths we need most are often the ones hiding beneath that discomfort. If you can sit quietly with yourself long enough, intuition begins to emerge not as a faint whisper, but as a steady light. Ask yourself, what might you hear if you truly listened to your silence? What guidance might reveal itself if you stopped running to others for answers? Jung taught that the psyche knows more than it tells, and silence is the key that unlocks that knowledge. Stay close, because ahead we'll uncover how silence not only deepens wisdom, but also heals wounds that no conversation ever could. Carl Jung often pointed out that silence does more than sharpen intuition, it also heals. The psyche, he believed, carries its wounds quietly, and sometimes the greatest act of healing is not to analyze or explain, but to allow the soul to rest in stillness. Words can reopen scars, but silence can close them. Think about this. When you're physically hurt, the body doesn't need constant commentary to repair itself. It just does the work, silently, beneath the skin. Jung said the same is true of the mind. When you stop pouring energy into endless explanations, your inner world begins its natural process of restoration. Silence is like a bandage for the soul. It protects the wound and gives it the chance to knit itself back together. Many people mistake talking for healing. They believe that if they repeat their pain often enough, it will shrink. But Jung cautioned that words can sometimes act like salt on a wound. Each retelling burns. Each explanation keeps the injury fresh. Healing, he suggested, comes from accepting the pain without broadcasting it, from holding it gently in silence until its sharp edges begin to soften. And here lies the mystery. Healing in silence often feels invisible. You may not notice it happening day by day, but one morning you wake and realize the heaviness has lifted. The memory no longer cuts as deep. That is the silent work of the psyche repairing itself. Jung also taught that silence connects us with what he called the self, the deeper center of the psyche that knows balance and wholeness. In noise, we identify only with the surface parts of ourselves, the roles, the defenses, the masks. But in silence, the deeper self speaks. It reminds us that we are not just our wounds, not just our fears, not just our stories. We are something larger, more complete. And that recognition alone begins to heal. So the next time you feel torn apart inside, resist the urge to explain yourself endlessly. Instead, let silence hold you. Let it gather your scattered pieces. Let it breathe strength into your weakness. Healing does not always need an audience. It needs patience, trust, and stillness. And keep listening, because up next, we'll explore how silence not only heals, but also protects your future by guarding your energy from being wasted on the wrong people. Carl Jung often warned that our energy is far more fragile than we realize. Every word we speak carries a piece of that energy outward. Once it leaves our lips, it is no longer ours to control. Silence, on the other hand, acts like a shield. It keeps your strength within you, protected from those who might misuse it. Think of the times you revealed too much about your dreams, your fears, or your struggles. How did people respond? Some may have encouraged you, but others, whether knowingly or not, might have planted seeds of doubt. Their skepticism, their envy, or even their careless indifference can cling to your mind and drain your motivation. Jung understood this well. The more you expose your inner world, the more vulnerable it becomes to outside interference. Silence is not secrecy born of fear. It is a form of preservation. By choosing not to speak, you keep your energy intact, allowing it to grow stronger inside you. This is why so many great minds worked in silence, revealing only the finished result. They protected their process because they knew that fragile beginnings cannot survive the weight of outside voices. Jung believed that energy is sacred, and wasting it on explanations or justifications only weakens the psyche. Every time you defend yourself, you hand over a piece of your strength. Every time you argue to be understood, you lose another piece. But when you stay silent, you deny others the power to touch your energy. You remain whole. And here is something even more striking. Silence doesn't only protect you from others, it also protects you from yourself. Words spoken in haste often become chains you commit to promises you cannot keep. You reveal feelings you haven't processed. You create expectations that later trap you. In silence, you are free. You can observe, reflect, and act with clarity when the right time arrives. Ask yourself, how many of your setbacks came not from what others did, but from what you said too soon? Jung's wisdom reminds us that silence is not passive. It is active self-defense. It keeps your vision untouchable until it's ready to bloom. Stay close, because what comes next is perhaps the most important. How silence, instead of isolating us, actually strengthens our relationships by teaching others to respect our boundaries. Carl Jung often emphasized that silence is not about distancing yourself from people. It is about teaching them how to value you. When you don't constantly explain, justify, or seek approval, others begin to sense the weight of your presence in a different way. They realize that your silence is not emptiness, but strength. In relationships, endless words often dilute respect. If you always rush to explain your actions, you give the impression that your choices need permission. Jung believed that silence creates an aura of dignity around a person. It sends a quiet message. My life does not require constant defense. My path speaks for itself. That message often inspires respect more than any argument ever could. Boundaries, Jung reminded us, are not built only by what we say no to, but also by what we choose not to reveal. Silence is one of the strongest boundaries. When you keep certain parts of your life private, you teach others that access to your inner world must be earned, not assumed. People quickly learn that your trust is precious, and this shifts how they interact with you. Think about it, haven't you admired those who carry themselves with quiet confidence? They do not need to announce their plans, yet when they finally act, their results speak volumes. Their silence was never weakness. It was the careful guarding of their energy and intentions. Jung explained that this kind of restraint deepens relationships. Why? Because it allows others to approach you with greater care and attention. When words are rare, they become valuable. People listen more closely when you finally speak, because your silence has trained them to expect meaning. This balanced silence and speech creates harmony in relationships. It prevents misunderstandings that come from over-explaining, and it ensures that your voice is heard when it truly matters. Jung also noted that silence protects relationships from unnecessary conflict. Many arguments escalate, not because of what happened, but because of too many words thrown carelessly into the fire. When you hold back, when you choose silence over reaction, you often prevent wounds that words could have carved. That restraint becomes a quiet act of love, not weakness, but wisdom. So silence, far from creating distance, actually strengthens the bond between people. It builds respect, it deepens trust, and it protects both you and those around you from needless harm. Stay with me, because in the final part, we will bring this full circle. How silence becomes not only protection and healing, but a path to inner freedom and lasting transformation.
Carl Jung often said that the soul finds its greatest strength not in noise, but in silence. After all the lessons, protection, healing, intuition, boundaries, what remains is this. Silence is freedom. It frees you from the need to be understood, from the trap of constant validation, from the draining cycle of explaining and justifying your existence. When you choose silence, you step into a new kind of power. Your emotions no longer control you because you have learned to hold them quietly until they transform. Your wounds no longer define you because you allow them to heal without turning them into a public performance. Your relationships become healthier because you teach others to respect your limits and value your voice. This freedom is not isolation, it is alignment. In silence, you align with your true self, the deeper center that Jung called the self. That center is wise, timeless, and whole. It does not need approval. It simply is. The more you rest in that space, the less you are shaken by the noise of the world. Silence becomes not an absence of sound, but a presence of peace. And this is the transformation Jung pointed us toward. Real change does not require applause. It does not require constant explanation. It happens quietly, like the unseen growth of roots beneath the soil. By the time the world notices, the transformation is already complete. Silence carried the process, and now the results speak for themselves. So, if you carry one lesson forward from this journey, let it be this: protect your energy, trust your intuition, respect your silence, and watch how your life transforms. Let your stillness become your strength, your boundaries become your respect, and your quiet presence become your freedom. Before we close, I ask you if these insights from Carl Jung have spoken to you today. Don't let them pass in silence. Subscribe to my channel SYC Soul, like this video, turn on the notification bell so you never miss the upcoming lessons, and share this message with someone who needs it right now. Maybe that person is searching for exactly this truth, and you could be the bridge to deliver it. Stay with these teachings, carry them into your life. And remember, sometimes the most powerful voice you will ever have is the one you choose not to use.